Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2025 Chess World Cup. This is turning out to be, for obvious reasons, the most insane chess tournament that I have enjoyed in quite some time. It is extremely unpredictable, and it crowns three people to the next candidates tournament, which raises the stakes to a level that most chess tournaments, if not all chess tournaments, don't ever reach. So I've been having an incredible time watching. And in this recap, I will conclude the round of 16, and we will meet officially our quarterfinalists. Yesterday, in the round of 16, some people qualified to the quarterfinal via classical chess. Half of the players did that. Wei Yi did that. Arjun Erigaisi did that. Javahir Sandarov did that, and Nodirbek Yakoboyev did that, so we have two players from Uzbekistan. At the end of this recap, the three remaining Russians will either be two remaining Russians or just one. And we will continue some other incredible storylines. So first things first, we will go to the matchup between Sam Shankland and Daniil Dubov, the former World Rapid Champion. Shankland, a very strong player, but 2650 is a crazy rating when you look at Sam because he's been above 2700. Dubov in this tournament has given all sorts of interviews, his typical, confident self and so on. And he has taken every single player that he has played to the rapid tiebreaks. And he's beaten them. Sam Shankland opened this game with d4, knight f6 from Dubov, and we got a Queen's Gambit decline, very traditional opening, e3. Black now has many moves. He chooses b6, Dubov. This is a Hikaru specialty. Hikaru plays this line all the time. We have queen c2, pawn takes d5, knight takes d5 from Daniil, and you see that the bishops are staring at each other. That's actually because in the previous position, if this had been taken with the bishop, White would take with the king. White would no longer castle this way. White could potentially put the king on g2, but actually White would keep the rook here and start an attack. More on that later, because in literally this position, Sam Shankland plays h4 virtually immediately. And the idea is to put the knight on g5 and obviously to checkmate the opponent. And in the long run, the idea is actually maybe to put the pawn on h6. We've seen computers completely transform the concept of castling and the concept of moving your flank pawns. So Shankland just turns up to this game and plays h4, confident chess. Dubov thinks for quite some time and decides, okay, I'm going to trade his bishop and trade this, and my position is slightly worse because, Sam is going to centralize his pieces and he's going to have some sort of attack, but, I'm one of the best rapid players in the world, so I'm going to adapt to the circumstances. Rook d1 from Shankland. c6, stopping White from going d5. But in the long run, despite this pawn being here and supporting the center, it could be a little bit of a weakness. Now Sam plays this move f5. Very interesting idea to bring in his queen a little bit closer to the action. Black is very passive. Really tough position to kind of get out of. This is like a Hikaru specialty position. Hikaru would love to defend this position with black, would be very creative about it. Knight to f6. The second the knight steps to this very natural square, though, Sam immediately plays knight e5, creating a threat, and plays h5, creating the threat of h6. Now, for black, you should probably play h6. Otherwise, White will play h6 and maybe g4, g5. But if you play h6, then White is going to play g4. In the game, Dubov reacts aggressively. He wants to get rid of the knight, because he thinks that with less pieces, White is not going to be able to attack him. Sam plays rook h3. Another deep idea behind moving this pawn and then moving this king is that the rook is going to come out this way. So the rook is going to join the game in a very non-traditional fashion. B takes c3 is played. Now finally Dubov plays h6. And obviously already Sam has played very interesting and exciting chess. He's played very offbeat. He hasn't castled. He's obviously attacking. For the next 10 moves, Sam Shankland attacks Daniil like Daniil stole money from him. So first we go c4, we make an aggressive pawn move. Black goes rook e8, anticipating our attack. Now we go g4, making another aggressive pawn move. Dubov plays rook c7, trying to stabilize. We rotate our rook over to the center of the board. Black plays queen c8, offering us a queen trade. We actually don't particularly mind that because we still have momentum, and now we play a4, yet another aggressive pawn move, just trying to push Dubov back. Dubov plays rook d8. He's now going to try to scramble to make some trades. He plays knight to d7. At this point, f4. Bro, C4, G4, F4, A4. I am telling you, he is hunting down Daniil. Daniil now goes knight to F8, trying to play like Karpov a little bit, but this is not really his style. D5, takes. Now the pawn is 3 squares away from queening. All right, we have rook c2 check, king to f3. We're getting into time scramble mode. We stabilize the pawn, but rook d4, trying to get a knight to c4, or maybe even a rook to c4 in the future, trading a rook and making it rook and knight endgame. Dubov goes knight h7 and takes his eye off the ball. He probably should have played something like rook c5, rook here, and then maybe b5, going for a little bit of counterplay, but he goes knight h7, and this one little sidestep allows Sam to play knight c4, push the rook back, and bring in d6, although rook e7 would have been even stronger, immediately going for the pawn. He played this move quite quickly, and now rook e7, and I am telling you, just looking at this game, like, Daniil was attacked in this game like he stole, like, Shankland's crypto wallet. I mean, really, a6. And now here, Sam can already sack a rook for a win, but he goes d7, very clean, and the game ends in very straightforward fashion. Rook e8 check, you lose a pawn, but pawn to f5, and that's it. You just win the game, and not only do you win the game, you know, he sacrifices rook and everything, this game ended in absolutely brutal fashion. So the way that Sam won this game was so vicious. Like, it's one thing to just grind a man down in an endgame. Sam Shankland absolutely obliterated Dubov from this position with a nasty combination. First, he went g5, sacrificed his pawn, then he played rook c8, so the king has to go guard the knight, but that would mean that the king gets further away from this, and now we have rook takes knight, king takes f6. And you cannot do anything. Whether this pawn goes here or here, this pawn sneaks through, and the king is no longer in the square. That combination, g5, rook c8, rook d8, and f6, absolutely lethal. And Sam Shankland has knocked out Daniil Dubov from the 2025 World Cup. Oh, crazy. No, I mean, this man, he played, c4, g4, h5, rook h3. He played I mean, this is inspired chess that he played. This is really, really impressive stuff. Really impressive. Now, I have more games for you, obviously. Everybody is getting knocked out today. Here is Harikrishna versus Jose Martinez. Harikrishna has been 2770 FIDE, one of the most experienced players, one of only 2 remaining players from India in the event. Is he... Yeah, I think Harikrishna is the oldest player remaining in the event. I think everybody else averages like 27, 28 years old. Which is, I mean, it says a lot, you know? So we go to rapid tie breaks between these two. These two were drawing for a while. We have what's called a classical Sicilian, bishop g5, bishop d7. Don't worry, I'm not going to test you on this. This is a very cagey Sicilian approach. E5 is a nice move to try to break up the pawn structure. Queen b8 is a nice move trying to trade off white's queen. Yeah, and Hari, I mean, just gets a very stable position. This is typical Harikrishna chess. Like, these pawns are not particularly effective, but actually black has completely equalized the position. It might not look like it. It might look very deceiving, but this position's totally equal for black. White actually doesn't have many targets. c4, a very nice idea. It's impossible to attack this pawn for white. It's just not possible at all. You can try to get a rook to d4 or a knight to b2 or a knight to e3, but good luck getting a knight to e3. Bishop to f4. The rook moves, centralizing, but knight d5 immediately going for counterplay. Knight f4 and bishop g5 ideas. So bishop back to d2. And what happens now is, you know, the position stays equal for quite some time. Rook d2, and, I mean, it's 6 pawns each. Obviously, black has a slight advantage ultimately because these pawns are not particularly nice. King goes to the middle, and black has really 2 advantages. Black has the advantage of the fact that because white has doubled pawns, black has a 4-on-3, basically. I mean, this is all 1 pawn, as far as I'm concerned. But also, the king is weak. The king is not going to be able to as easily walk into the middle as black's king, and Jose could just advance in the center. So rook b8, yeah, Harikrishna makes this move. Rook b7, stabilizing. But now it's going to be really hard for white to defend this pawn. Like, if he tries, he's going to get very passive. So he ends up not defending it. Rook a4, and the pawns begin clashing, kind of similar in the game between Shankland and Dubov, where one guy is just trying to advance his pawns forward. a3, rook c6, very stable little position. e5, rook c8, a little bit of shuffling. You know, both guys jostling for position, jospaming for position, if you will. And now, an amazing move. H5. In a moment of stability, a pawn sacrifice to infiltrate on the other side of the board. A very difficult moment for Harikrishna. The best move in the position is probably something like pawn to h3 and just holding on for dear life, but this is not going to cut it. G takes h5 is a mistake, because after rook h8 and rook h3, I come king f5, and your rook is simply too passive. My king is just going to get in with the pawns. That's actually the idea. I wanted to sneak in 1-on-3 against these pawns, maybe 3-on-2. Rook b7, he goes for counterplay, but now in comes Jose, and the problem here is that it is black who is faster. All the pawns are moving together, and we are in time scramble territory. Blunders are possible. Rook h6, that was a mistake. Apparently, Jose needed to just go all in. Just win this pawn. You will stop this pawn in the future, and you are winning. He goes here, a little bit too defensive. King d2. Now it might be a little bit closer to equality, but not for long, because Jose wins the last pawn that mattered. He wins the pawn on c2. Rook h1. Folks, he is mating Harikrishna. Rook g1 is literally mate. The only thing white can do here is to play rook f3, which is a very cool move. Can't take it. But this is over. This is a mating net. The pawns block out that rook. This rook has no more checks. Rook g1 is an unstoppable checkmate, or at least the winning of a rook. Jose Martinez just defeated Pentala Harikrishna to continue his absolutely dream run. He's beaten Nodirbek Abdusattorov. He's beaten Alexis Sarana. Who else did he beat? Was that it? Did he only beat 3 people? Ivic. I forgot. He also beat Ivic before that. So he beats Velimir Ivic, Abdusattorov, Sarana, and Pentala Harikrishna. Absolutely incredible stuff. And he will play Sindarov. So in the quarterfinal, he's going to play Javahir Sindarov. Someone's O has got to go. I mean, Sindarov is very close to becoming the highest rated player from Uzbekistan. It used to be Nodirbek by a lot, because Nodirbek was like 2770, 2780. Sindarov is extremely close. So either that run will continue and his monster year will continue. Sindarov has gained like 50 points in the last year or something, and won freestyle events, or it will be the story of Jose, which would be incredible. And now the matchup where one of the Russian players will have to knock out one of the other Russian players. Grebnev is a young man. I don't know how old Grebnev is, probably young 20s. Esipenko, I think, is my year. Esipenko's been great for a long time. Famous clip of him on YouTube called The Feeling of Beating the World Chess Champion. That was when he beat Magnus, and he was just like 18 years old. He did it in the Netherlands. As far as I know, nice guy. No complaints about him, at least not yet. Again, as far as I know, e4, e5, and we have a Petrov, and it's going to be like who has the better Petrov preparation. So Grebnev plays knight f6, which is not a normal move. Like, obviously, you take, you go bishop, you castle. He goes back and basically just doesn't give Esipenko like the easy, the easy typical game. The problem is that here, if white knows everything, his plan is very simple. So he goes d4, puts his bishop out, puts his queen out, long castles. Sorry, bishop d3. Now he long castles. Grebnev plays b5, obviously. Now we have h4. Just a good old-fashioned opposite side castling scrap. Like a hockey fight. Both guys drop the gloves. You know what to expect, right? Like, it's going to be 3-4 good punches, then a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of grappling. Somebody's going to probably slip on the ice. Referees are going to intervene. Bishop b7, targeting the knight. Esipenko plays h5. And now the age-old idea, do I play h6? To play h6 or not to play h6? Because if you play h6, you could get blasted off the board here. Or actually h6, g4 ideas. h6, white could maybe play rook h3, defending the knight, kind of like Shankland. Although Shankland didn't defend on that side. He didn't castle. I don't know why I said the word defend. In this game, though, knight d5 is already a slight inaccuracy. This is actually the beginning of the problems. Instead of knight to d5, he should have continued with his pawns. Like in typical style, knight bd7. Knight d5 is a temporary solution for something like you're trying to target the bishop, but you have lost a defender of the king. And in understanding dynamics of chess, this move will come back to bite, because now white just gets more momentum. This move and the very next move, which is removing the bishop from the board, simply removed an important defender of the king and lost time. White gets to play rook h3, rook h1, and probably rook g3, if not pushing the pawn to the g5 square. And yeah, now black is in a lot of trouble. Black has to remove another piece. He does. So black has now traded 2 pieces for white's 2 pieces. But black doesn't have easy replacements. So knight d7, here comes knight to g3. I would have never played knight g3. I would have played g4. Like, it's not the best move, but it's what I would have played. It's my move. Bishop g5, king b1, and Grebnev, again, kind of underestimating the attack of Esipenko. I mean, a move like h6 and putting the knight on f8 maybe might have been a little bit more sturdy. They do say knight on f8 never mate. Knight on f6, I don't know. Does not fit in the mix. Maybe that's what they say. Knight to f6 allows this, and this is really not the combination that you want because the knight on f8 is safe, and the knight on e4 removes the knight on f6. And Esipenko is just breaking through. Knight takes e4, bishop e4. At a minimum, you have to lose a rook here. At a minimum. At a maximum, you can save the rook and allow queen h7. And yeah, Grebnev just was not feeling the position. I mean, down 7 minutes. 7 minutes and not making great choices. Esipenko gets 2 pawns, hunts the king out of the castle, and it just never was close. You sack the queen. It looks like you're going to an endgame. You are not. We trade d5, and yeah, I mean, black is just absolutely flatlined here. g4, g5, rook e7, rook c7. Just an absolute obliteration in the rapid game, and Esipenko is into the round of 8 as well. Very convincing rapid victories for a lot of these players. Shankland played great. Esipenko played incredible. I think Grebnev really didn't play that well in this game. I think really that's the story. But like, he had 3 chances to play something different. He took the wrong decision every time. It kind of happens like to me, you know? But last but not least, may I present to you the most absurd matchup of the round of 16. The most absurd. Yesterday, Alexander Denchenko drew an endgame where he had 3 extra pawns. It was a rook and 3 pawns versus a rook. That is an oversimplification. In reality, it was just a winning rook endgame with some proper technique. He did not have a lot of time. He was definitely feeling the nerves. And I said, like, if he can sleep more than 2-3 hours, I would be impressed. That video is the previous video in the World Cup playlist. I made a playlist of all the videos. Because people all the time want me to put World Cup in every single title. It's not so simple, because if I name a video World Cup Recap 7 Round of 32, not only does it not get recommended, you will also not watch it. So if I name it something, you know, more funny and dramatic, that's generally what happens. But there is a playlist. So do check that one out. I really thought today Liang, who is a better rapid and blitz player, would just show up and win 1 or 2 games. That's really, I mean, I don't know how you recover from this. Boy, was I wrong. But not in the way that you think. So Liang shows up, he plays d4, again, very stable position. We have a Grunfeld defense. Yesterday, Denchenko had a very, boring and kind of dry game. This is some sort of solid line. White, like, Liang really is not much of a risk taker. He generally goes for easy to play positions. In this game, in this first rapid game, he bit off a little more than he could chew. It felt like, the way that he played, he gave an easy game to Denchenko. He probably just thought, like, I'm going to win these pawns. That just kind of didn't happen. Denchenko, meanwhile, won his A-pawn and now just has an outside pass pawn, which is very nice for all endgames. And at some point, Liang was like, okay, I'm no longer going to try to win this pawn with moves like queen c2, trading the queens and rook c1. I'm going to go here. Which is just not the right plan in the position. Like, you gave him the pawns, now you should try to win them back. And he kind of put his sights on a6. The position's still hovering around equality, but Denchenko just saved the pawn, and then he started using it against Liang. So it's kind of funny. Like, you go back to the opening. Liang played the move c4. He played this move to damage the pawn structure and win the pawns. And now some, moves later, here's the pawn. Here's the thing that you created. You created the monster. And I mean, yeah, Liang did not really show any signs of domination or rating favorite or anything like that. Denchenko just put the pawn here and threatened bishop a3 and bishop e3 and rook b1. And when I woke up and saw this, I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess Denchenko's just in good form and emotionally more mature than me, because he just played very well. Like, what can I say? Liang did not play particularly great. Okay, Denchenko now has a 1-point advantage. He is playing with the white pieces. He just has to play for a not loss. Black has to take the risk now. All right, d4, c5. Okay, this is a nice way, yeah, to actually play for a win. Takes d6. Very imbalanced game. Now, the way white plays here is very emphatic. e4, h4, h5. Like, you have to be very aggressive. Denchenko plays a very principled way. e4, e5. Although, I think if white plays h4 and just bishop d3, it's almost impossible for black to play this. I mean, I have played the structure with black myself. Against very good players, it is quite difficult. But Liang is, you know, on purpose taking some massive risks. Pawn takes, bishop takes. But already things go wrong in the opening as Liang gets g5. So pushes the bishop back and just has a very stable square on e5. This is not the right plan. That is absolutely not the right idea. He needed to go for g4 or h6. h5 is a crazy move because this pawn becomes weak. And white can play knight f3 and now f6. So Liang is just worse. I mean, he is much, much worse from the opening. But sometimes to play for a win, you need to play first for a loss. The winning move here for white is the move e5. Now, if white is playing this position for a win, he will play e5 without even thinking. What is the point of e5? Black has to take with the d pawn, otherwise you win this pawn. And now white just has a passed pawn forever. And this position is just winning for white. It's just winning, apparently. I mean, I can't really explain it, but I think the strength of this pawn on its own means that white is dominating. So white will go like queen b1. Let's say bishop g4, queen b1. You have ideas to go to g6, so the king is always going to stay in the center. And then at some point, you're just going to rip open the position. You're probably going to sacrifice something like b6. Yeah, you probably go knight g5. Pawn takes, bishop g6 check, king d8, rook f7, and that's it. You're just completely winning. Queen d6, bishop g5, and you know, king c8, queen b5, and the game is just over. The game is over. You have just a devastating attack. Now, that didn't happen. Instead of that, we got queen a4 check. Liang played here. There's going to be like 7 brilliant moves per side now. Queen b3, bishop h3, rook g1, a little too stable for me. Knight to h6, and suddenly we see the early makings of a person taking over. But now we do find e5. Now Denchenko realizes, all right, I can't be playing slowly. He gives up the pawn, but it's a little bit late. He gives this check, but that's not the right check. He shouldn't have. And now he doesn't wait at all. He just goes pawn to d6. Black goes queen d7, stabilizing the pawn. We have bishop takes g5, sacrificing another piece. Denchenko, a man on a mission. Liang takes the knight on f3 for free. Now we have bishop takes f6, infiltrating. Black can take the white rook, but he plays rook g8 instead. Now white plays queen b1, bringing back the queen to defend the bishop. Queen to g4, attacking the bishop one more time. Now bishop h7 is the wrong move here, but like the reason is ridiculous. It's because black has enough time to bring the knight into the game. Now Denchenko plays bishop e7 check. The king goes to g7, and his attack is out of steam. Liang is up material, and even though white can win the rook, it doesn't matter because black has all the pieces back, and black is totally safe. e4, again giving up the rook in the corner, and by the time that Denchenko takes it, Liang has totally removed the forces from the board. And even here, you can queen, but it doesn't matter because f2, f1 is sneaking in. And folks, Alexander Denchenko, for the second time in this match, has let the match slip. This game was heartbreaking because actually from the opening, if he played more emphatically, this move is +3 on high depth. e5 is just winning, but Liang wins with black. What a monster. What a monster. Which takes us to the next round of tiebreaks. The next round of tiebreaks. At some point, something's got to give. So again, we have a stable position. We have a symmetrical English, knight h3, Liang always playing kind of, you know, solid lines, not taking massive risk. This is just totally equal. This is great opening preparation from Denchenko. Position is equal for a while. Knight d5, bishop b2. Sides are trading pieces. Pawn structure is symmetrical. If anything, white is very slightly better because he has earlier access to the targets, but the position is totally equal. Now, we're just in a queen and bishop endgame, and in a few moves, we are going to be in a pure bishop endgame. Just wait for it. Queen c1. This is a mistake. Instead of this, like, white could have just done nothing, but he plays f3. Now black has a better pawn structure. White has split pawns. But probably Liang was like, I will draw this game with my eyes closed. Queen d5, and we go for this. So Liang trades the queen. Again, I cannot stress enough how utterly unnecessary the move queen d5 is, but I will not dare to correct the play of Liang. He is a, a genius compared to me. But like, he did not have to do this. He could have just kept shuffling, but he probably was just like in the rook endgame, he was like, I can draw this endgame even if I'm going to be down a pawn. Well, Denchenko is in fact going to win one of the pawns, and Liang probably thought that this was just a draw. Unfortunately, it's not so easy because the pawns are so far apart. The way you would draw this with white is you need to win both pawns and you need to end up sacrificing one of your bishops for them. Well, this took a very long time. And it was equal for a little bit. It was winning for a move or two, but then it was equal. And then Denchenko just found this nice king walk. And at some point, he's going to put the bishop here. And he's going to push the g-pawn. Like, white is going to run out of moves. He's going to have to run back. You keep going here, the king will just run out this way and support the pawn. So wherever white is going to end up moving, black is going to run the king. He starts running the king, and now here comes the pawn. You go to stop it. Here comes the other pawn. You go here. King f5. You are not ever going to stop my pawns. I keep running around, and Denchenko breaks through the fortress. This is unbelievable. Look how much the cardio the king had to do, back and forth, back and forth. And this is game over. The king has to give up the defense of the pawn, or this has to be let through, or this has to be let through. Alexander Denchenko just won this game as if his middle name is Magnus. Unbelievable stuff. He beats Liang again. With the black pieces. Again, he now has his third opportunity, and third time is the charm, obviously. Now he gets the white pieces. It is time to put an end to all the memes. Look at this. This time he's also playing asymmetrical. He's like, yo, Liang cannot beat me if we are playing asymmetrical position. It is just not possible. I am just going to do absolutely nothing. Yeah, Liang immediately makes the position unsymmetrical, non-symmetrical, asymmetrical, whatever word you want to use. He just trades the bishop for the knight and then plants his knight in the middle of the board. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, white just gets a totally stable position. There is no way to play this. I mean, you play king h2, you play f4, but black is going to keep trying. a5 is probably what you don't play, actually. You probably needed to stabilize the position on that side of the board. Now it's not very stable. And, okay, this position is easy. Here with white, you just go e5. You probably just go e5. You probably just trade the knight at the right moment. But it's not, you know, it's easier to move other people's pieces. He goes rook b8, and f5. So it's actually, Denchenko gives back the e5 square to Liang, but it's like, I'm just going to mate him. Like, I'm not going to play passively anymore. I'm just going to mate the guy. Just queen h6 incoming. Yeah, that's all good. f5, rook f4, rook h6, rook f4, rook h4. No, I mean, it all makes sense, except you blunder knight, queen b1 and knight f3 check, and you lose on the spot. You blunder a Trojan horse sacrifice to rook b2, and now you lose your queen. And for the third time in this match, Alexander Denchenko goes from on the verge to winning the match and qualifying to the quarterfinal to losing. You just feel for the guy, because at some point you are going to you're gonna run out of steam. It's just not gonna work. It's just not going to work anymore. Also, only black is winning. Black has won all 4 games, and Denchenko was black winning the classical game. These dudes just can't play chess with white. That's just what that's all it is. So we go to the blitz. Now they got to play blitz against each other. This is just cruel, man, because at some point, someone's nervous system is going to collapse. So again, Liang going for a stable Nimso Indian structure. Very, very normal opening. Knight g3, rook b1, rook b2, typical idea to swing the rook over and help with some sort of attack. And Liang misplays from the opening, and it is quite drastic. It is quite a big misplay, because it allows white immediately to generate some attacking chances. Bishop f6, pawn takes f6, rook a2. I mean, this is like the best position white has had in the entire match. Just a few moves away from mate. And already the black suggestion from the computer is king f8, king e7, which... King f8, king e7, you should be met with an anti-doping test at the board. Like, they should come with a cup. You should have to unzip and pee in the cup at the board. All right? Like, you don't even wait to go to the back. Liang plays queen c3. He plays this move in 3 seconds because he's not doping. Rook d2, and he goes king h8, which, again, much more natural to go to the corner than to run toward the middle. The problem with the way he's playing this is it's just completely lost. It is utterly and completely lost. And in this match, when some of the guys get a chance, like, they don't let it go. Rook d1 was not the best. You had to go, like, here, and then try to take to get as fast of a checkmate as possible. But it doesn't really matter, because Denchenko just gets a completely crushing attack, and Liang just never gets back into the game. And now we end this match on a beautiful tactic. Queen g7, rook takes, pawn takes, king g8, and knight to f6. How about that? For all the drama, for all the memes, for all the chaos, Alexander Denchenko holds his nerve after some 5 hours of chess with Liang, and this is easy. This is easy. He's not going to screw this up. Pawn to a5, this is stopped, a pawn is going. Another 2,700 has been eliminated from the World Cup. And Alexander Denchenko continues the run. He almost did it, man. He almost did it, almost collapsing in this match. I was rooting for him, not because I don't like Liang. I'm rooting for underdogs, man. He beat Bluebaum, who's a candidate. He beat Giri, who's a candidate. He beat Liang, who's a former World Blitz champion. And he is the last quarterfinalist. And your matchups are as follows. Your matchups are as follows. Sindarov Martinez, Nodirbek Yakuboyev versus Alexander Denchenko. So Denchenko qualifies to play Yakuboyev, who has been crushing people in classical. But we will see what happens. Shankland Esipenko. Shankland gets rewarded with the last Russian standing in the World Cup. If Shankland can beat them, there will be chance of USA in Go. I kind of doubt that. And Wei Yi versus Arjun Erigaisi. This is a really brutal one. Really, really brutal one. These two are the two remaining highest rated players in the field, 2769, 2753 officially, and one of them has to be eliminated now. So either Wei Yi or Arjun Erigaisi, in all likelihood, will be in the candidates, because I just cannot see one of them going through to the semifinal and then not winning one of those two matchups. If you make it into the semifinal, no matter what, you are guaranteed 2 attempts at making the candidates, because even if you lose in the semifinal, you play for the third place match. So one of these guys will win this match and then have 2 chances to make the candidates, and I just cannot see it not happening. So this one is almost a shoo-in. The others are a complete crapshoot. Like, absolutely no idea. Both of these guys have shown good chess. Maybe Yakuboyev is a very slight favorite. Here I have absolutely no clue. Maybe the way Shankland is playing, he's a very slight favorite. I don't know. And obviously here Sindarov is a slight favorite. But man, Martinez's confidence is through the roof. Through the roof. Like, it's a very exciting final set of matchups. And I can't wait to cover them for you. That's all I have for you today. You know the drill. Get out of here.